Welcome, my dear students, to our next class of some basic concepts of chemistry. In today's class, we will brush up our previous concepts of chemical equations and balancing of a chemical equation. আজকের ক্লাসে আমরা আমাদের আগের যেগুলো আমরা ক্লাস 9 তে ক্লাস 10 তে ক্লাস 9th and 10th whatever we have studied about chemical equations, balancing of a chemical equations, how to write the formula of a chemical equation, যা যা ওইসব শিখেছি, whatever we have learned in the previous classes, we will just brush up the knowledge, just ওটাকে একটুখানি আমরা মনে করব, so that it helps in the next sections that we will be studying in our next class. Okay, so এর পরবর্তী ক্লাসে আমরা যা পড়বো সেটাতে যাতে আমাদেরকে হেল্প করে, so that is why we will be studying up again about all those class 9th and 10th concepts again. Okay, so starting with today's class, we will we'll concentrate upon chemical reactions. Our main topic for today will be chemical reactions and equations. Now, what are chemical reactions? Chemical reactions ki jinish hoy? What they are basically, chemical reactions are the equation forms. Whatever যখন তুমি দেখো, whenever you see, say for example, you in class 10th you have read an experiment, like you take a magnesium ribbon, you burn it in presence of oxygen, you take a burner, you burn that magnesium ribbon and you get white colored ashes, right? তুমি এরকম একটা এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করেছো যেখানে তুমি একটা ম্যাগনেসিয়ামের রিবন নিয়েছো, ওইটাকে আগুনের মধ্যে জ্বালিয়েছো, and then you have collected that white ashes, right? So ওইটা একটা কি ছিল? কেমিক্যাল ইকুয়েশন ছিল, যেখানে তোমার ম্যাগনেসিয়াম in presence of oxygen মানে অক্সিজেনের সাথে ওটাতে বার্ন করে জ্বলে তোমাকে কি দিচ্ছিল? It was giving you magnesium oxide substance দিচ্ছিল, that name was magnesium oxide. So chemical reactions কি হয় basically? Chemical reactions এর মধ্যে আমরা দেখি there are two parts basically. One is a reactant part, another one is a product part, right? You have two parts. One part is a reactant, একটাকে আমরা বলি reactants, আর একটা পার্ট হলো কি আমাদের product. Fine. So this is your chemical reaction. So these two things are present in a chemical reaction, where you can show the conversion of a reactant to products by the help of an arrow. আমরা reactant থেকে product যেটা দেখাই, এটা কি দিয়ে দেখাই? একটা arrow দিয়ে দেখাই, right? Reactants are always written on the left hand side. Remember, reactants কে আমরা সবসময় left hand side এ লিখি, and product is always written on the right hand side. Products গুলোকে আমরা সবসময় কোথায় লিখি? right hand side এ লিখি. এই reactants গুলো একটাও হতে পারে, একটা থেকে বেশিও হতে পারে. There can be more than one reactants, more than two reactants also. So they combine together to give you product or products, we would say. মানে একটা product হতে পারে, একটা থেকে বেশি product হতে পারে. So এই reactants গুলো they combine together to give you product, where you in the left hand side you always point out the reactants, and in the right hand side you point out the products. Fine. So this is how we represent a chemical reaction. Now chemical reaction ke represent করার জন্য অনেক রকমের ways আছে. We have different ways of how we can represent a chemical reaction. Like we can just write a word equation, একটা word equation এর মতো, মানে word type of একটা, মানে ধরো কি আমি এরকম লিখে দিচ্ছি magnesium reacts with oxygen. Like say for example, আমি এখানে লিখে দেখাই তোমাকে in the form of word, representing in the form of a word, form of a statement, form of a statement. So how can we represent it in the form of a statement? Like the way I said, আমি যেরকম বললাম তোমাকে, magnesium, I will write it like this: magnesium reacts with oxygen. Magnesium reacts with oxygen in presence of, magnesium reacts with oxygen to give a white colored powdered substance, white colored powdery substance, called magnesium oxide. The spelling is wrong. Magnesium oxide, right? So তুমি এখানে বুঝতে পারছো, you can understand, এখানে দেখে বুঝতেই পারছো যে magnesium is reacting with oxygen to give a white colored powdered substance called magnesium oxide, right? So this is also an equation. আমি যা রিঅ্যাকশনের মধ্যে করেছি ওটাকে আমি কি লিখলাম? একটা স্টেটমেন্টের ফর্মে লিখলাম. সো এখান থেকে তুমি বুঝতে পারছো যে হ্যাঁ একটা রিঅ্যাকশন হয়েছে, বাট ইট ইজ নট ভেরি, মানে এখানে সবকিছু লেখার আমার কাছে টাইম হয় না. আমি যখন এক্সামে বসছি, আমি যখন কিছু এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করছি, আমার কাছে তো টাইম নেই. I do not have this much time that I'll write the whole thing in the form of a statement, right? আমি পুরো জিনিসটা একটা স্টেটমেন্টের ফর্মে লিখে নিয়ে যাবো. I do not have that much time to save the time. So it is for our convenience, আমাদের সুবিধার জন্য what we do, আমরা কি করি, আমরা এটাকে একটা ইকুয়েশনের ফর্মে লিখতে পারি. ওকে, সো ইকুয়েশনের ফর্মে কিভাবে লিখি দেখো. I'll just rub this, you see, এটাকে রাব করে আমি লিখছি. You see, in the form of statement, form of equation. Okay, একটা equation form এ লিখছি। তো equation form আমি যদি লিখি কি লিখবো? Magnesium plus oxygen gives you magnesium oxide. Gives you magnesium oxide. ঠিক আছে, সো দিস ইজ মাচ বেটার। এটা আরো বেশি বেটার আছে আমার আগের স্টেটমেন্ট লেখার থেকে তো বেটার, রাইট? মাচ ইজিয়ার। যেমন ম্যাগনেসিয়াম প্লাস অক্সিজেন গিভস ইউ ম্যাগনেসিয়াম এন্ড অক্সিজেন। নাও দিস প্লাস কিন্তু তোমার ম্যাথমেটিক্যাল প্লাস না, দিস সিম্বল প্লাস দ্যাট উই রাইটিং ইট হিয়ার ইন a chemical equation, this is not a maths wala plus, this is not that the way we write in addition, subtraction, multiplication, division এর মধ্যে তুমি যে addition sign তো that is not that, this is they are combining together, okay, they are coming up together, they are reacting together. This plus sign means they are reacting together, and this arrow means it is indicating, it is giving you this product. This side is, this left hand side is the reactant side, this side is your product side, right? Now we can further make it a short one. আমরা এটাকে আরো বেশি ছোট করতে পারি। how? We can just write the symbols, আমরা symbolic way তে লিখতে পারি। magnesium এর symbol কি? Mg, oxygen এর symbol কি? O2। আচ্ছা, oxygen is actually O, oxygen এর আমরা কি লিখি? O লিখি oxygen এর symbol, but মনে রাখবে oxygen is a diatomic molecule। oxygen কি? একটা diatomic molecule, magnesium is monoatomic। magnesium সবসময় Mg, di মানে 2, oxygen যখনই exist করবে there will be two atoms of oxygen which will combine together, দুটো atoms of oxygen থাকবে যেটা সব সময় একসাথে জুড়ে জুড়ে থাকবে। okay, so that is why we are writing it here as O2, and this gives you magnesium oxide, that is your MgO. You can write it as MgO. The MgO is the formula of magnesium oxide. Now you see this is the skeletal form, এটাকে আমরা বলি, this form is known as the skeletal form, or we can also call it as the unbalanced equation, okay? So the skeletal form or the unbalanced chemical equation, why skeletal or why unbalanced? Because you see one thing, তোমার left hand side and right hand side number of atoms match করে না, the number of atoms in your left hand side and your right hand side do not match the number of atoms. You see here there is only one magnesium, here is one magnesium, here there are two oxygen, here it's one oxygen. Do the number of atoms match? No. So that is why we are writing here it as skeletal form or the unbalanced equation. ঠিক আছে, সো এরকম ভাবে আমরা ইকুয়েশনকে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করি। ইট ইজ ইম্পর্টেন্ট টু ফর অল অফ ইউ টু রিমেম্বার দ্য সিম্বলস অফ দ্য এলিমেন্টস। ওকে, আমরা সব এলিমেন্টস এর সিম্বলস মনে রাখি। ইট ইজ ইম্পর্টেন্ট ফর অল অফ আস। I'll just write the symbols. I'll show you how to balance a chemical equation, how to write a formula of a compound, what are cations, what are anions. We'll discuss all of these in today's class. Fine. Okay, so I'll just drop this and we'll move to this how do we write the symbols of atoms, what are cations, what are anions. We'll first see that. So next we'll see the symbols of some of the elements. I know all of you know, but still we will just revise it for a while. I have written the name of the elements, we will just see the symbols, what are the symbols of them. Okay, so aluminium, the first element you can see it's aluminium. Aluminium, the symbol is Al, the symbol is Al. Argon, it's Ar. Boron, B. Bromine is Br. Calcium, Ca. Carbon, C. Chlorine is Cl. Cobalt, Co. Okay, just remember the symbols. Copper, it's Cu. Fluorine, F. Gold is your Au. Gold is symbol take onnorakom, it's Au. Hydrogen, it's H. Helium, He. Iodine, I. Iron is Fe. Lead, Pb. Mercury, Hg. Neon is your Ne. Nitrogen, N. Nickel, Ni. Oxygen, O. Platinum, Pt. Potassium, K. Silicon is your Si. Silver, Ag. Sulfur, S. Sodium, Na. Uranium, U. And Z. Zinc is Z. So these are the symbols are different. Some of the elements, not all the elements, some of the elements which are commonly used, most commonly used, I have just written down the name of their elements, and these are the symbol of the elements. Okay, out of them, some of them are diatomic. কিছু কিছু আছে যাদেরকে আমরা যখন আমরা chemical equations লিখি, we write them in the form of a diatomic element. মানে whenever we write them in a chemical equation, whenever we'll be using them in a chemical equation, we will write them in a diatomic form. Like you start from here, for the first element that will be in diatomic form is a bromine. Bromine is always written as Br2 in your equation. Okay, next comes your calcium. Fine, calcium is also written as not calcium, sorry. Next comes your chlorine. Chlorine is also written as Cl2. Next comes copper, Fe, gold, hydrogen. Next is your hydrogen. Hydrogen is written as H2 always. Then iodine is always written as I2. Then comes lead, Ag, Ne, nitrogen, neon, nickel, oxygen is written as O2, platinum, P, Pt, potassium, K, silicon. Everything is okay. Did we leave out anything? Kichu chute gelo naki dekhe ne ekbar. Fluorine, where is fluorine? Yes, we forgot fluorine. Fluorine is also written as F2. Okay, so Br2, Cl2, F2, H2, I2, O2, these elements, এই যে bromine, chlorine, hydrogen, iodine, oxygen, fluorine, এগুলো যে elements আছে এগুলোকে আমরা কি ফর্মে লিখি? We'll react them in a chemical equation. Whenever using them in a chemical equation, we will be writing them in the form of a diatomic molecule. Fine. So please take a screenshot of this. I'll just move out from here. ठीक है, the screenshot, write it down in your copy. Fine. Okay, so next we will see what are cations, what are anions, what are their names. Okay, we will see some names of the cations and anions as well. Okay, so next here is a list of cations that I have written. Kichu cations er forms amra dekho. Now, what are cations? First we will say cations ki hoy. You see, cations are the ions which have a positive charge on them. The ions which have a positive charge in them, we call them as cations. যে ion গুলোতে একটা positive charge থাকে, plus charge থাকে, we call them as cation. Now how are cations formed? Say for example, আমরা জানি, we all know, say for example sodium, ঠিক আছে? Sodium has how many electrons in it? There are 11 electrons in sodium, right? There are 11 electrons in sodium. Just like the way there are 11 electrons in sodium, there are also 11 protons in sodium. Right? We always know that the number of protons and electrons are equal in an atom, and that is why they are neutral. Now 11 protons and 11 neutrons, they make it is equals to 0. 11 plus, and proton has a positive charge in it and the electron has a negative charge in it. That is why when you plus 11 electron minus plus 11 electron and plus 11 proton, the total is how much? Minus, because electrons are charge minus or negative or, and the protons have a positive charge in them. Now you have sodium. Sodium er upore kichu tumi likho na keno? Why don't you write anything upon sodium? Because it's a neutral one. It does not have any extra electron, because the number of electrons or protons are same. There is nothing extra. Neither the proton is extra, neither the electron is extra. Fine. Always remember one more thing. Electron is negatively charged, the proton is positively charged particle. Fine. Now say for example, you are taking out one electron from sodium. You have taken out one electron, minus E minus mane, this E minus is for one electron. Okay, electron the E minus likhi, we write it in the form of E minus. So we are taking out one electron from sodium. Now the moment you take out an electron from sodium, what will be the configuration here? There will be 10 electron and 11 protons, right? So that overall will be plus 1. 10 minus plus 11 P plus, so overall কি হয়ে যাবে তোমার plus 1. That means the sodium will become what? Na plus, right? Did you understand what I meant to say? বুঝতে পেরেছো কি বলেছি? When যখনই তোমার সোডিয়াম থেকে, সোডিয়ামের নরমালি কি থাকে? 11টা প্রোটন 11টা ইলেকট্রন. Every atom has equal number of protons and electrons in them when it's in a neutral state, right? যখন এটা গ্রাউন্ড স্টেটে থাকে, নিউট্রাল স্টেটে থাকে, তখন এটাতে কি থাকে? equal number of protons and equal number of neutrons থাকে. But যদি তুমি একটা ইলেকট্রন বার করে নাও, if you take out one electron from this sodium atom, what will become? It will become sodium plus. Why plus? Because in that case ওই সময় কি হয়ে যাবে? তোমার protons তো সমান থাকবে, the number of protons will be equal, but the number of electrons will be less. So 10 minus আর plus 11, মানে এরকম যদি তুমি করো minus 10 plus 11, what will be the answer? The answer is plus 1. So that is why, just because answer is plus 1, that is why your sodium gains a plus charge. And one more thing, আমরা কখনো কিন্তু protons বার করতে পারি না. We cannot take out protons from an element. Fine, remember this well, that we cannot take out a proton, because proton is just inside the nucleus. You cannot go inside the nucleus and pull out an electron, pull out a proton from there. The electrons can be taken out because the electrons are outside, right? There are shells where you have studied K shell, L shell, M shell, you have studied about them, right? So shells গুলোর মধ্যে তোমার electrons থাকে. The electrons can be taken out, but the protons you cannot get inside the nucleus and take out a proton from there. So every time আমার electrons এ যাবে বা electrons এ আসবে, either the electron will go or the electron will come. Nothing extra, মানে এখানে কোনো proton কিছু হতে পারবে না. The proton cannot be taken out, the proton cannot be injected. না তুমি proton ঢুকাতে পারবে, না তুমি proton বার করতে পারবে. But you can of course take out an electron or you can inject an electron as well. মানে একটা electron দিতেও তুমি পারো. Fine. So this is how a cation is formed. A cation is formed whenever an electron is taken out from an atom. Jokhon electron bar kora hoy, this -1 electron. Remember, whenever you are taking out an electron from an atom, in that case you are getting a cation. Jodi duto beroto, তুমি যদি দুটো ইলেকট্রন নিয়ে যেতে, then you would have written here 2 plus, right? যদি তিনটে নিয়ে যেতে, if you would have taken 3 electrons out of here, you would have written here 3 plus, correct? Okay, so this is how a cation is formed. I guess this is clear to you all. Now we will see this cations, right? এগুলো হলো কিছু cations আছে। যখন এরকম cationic ফর্মে থাকবে বা anionic ফর্মে থাকে, we write here as hydrogen ion, aluminium ion, sodium ion, এরকম ভাবে আমরা এগুলোকে লিখি। Hydrogen is your H+, sodium is your Na+, potassium is K+, cuprous is Cu+, mercurous Hg+, silver is your Au+, Ag+, ammonium is your NH4+, cupric is Cu+2. You see here, cuprous is Cu+, and cupric is Cu+2. Barium is your Ba+2, calcium Ca+2, chromium Cr+2, mercuric Hg+2, cobalt Co+2, nickel Ni+2, ferrous, it's your Fe+2, magnesium it's Mg+2, zinc is Zn+2, and manganese is Mn+2. Fine. Aluminium it's Al+3, ferric is Fe+3, and bismuth is Bi+3. So these are the different cations you can see. Here again you can see it's mercurous is Hg+, mercuric is Hg2+, ferrous is Fe2+, ferric is Fe3+. You can see that. Okay, one more thing, there are 2 more cations that I would like to write, plumbous and plumbic. I didn't mention it here. We'll see 2 more cations. One is your plumbous, and the other one is your plumbic. Okay, plumbous is Pb+2 and plumbic is Pb+4. Just remember, মনে রাখবে যেগুলো OUS এগুলো হলো লোয়ার অক্সিডেশন স্টেট, মানে লোয়ার চার্জ, আর যেগুলো IC, যেগুলো লাস্টের দিকে IC লাগানো, ওগুলো হলো কি তোমার হাইয়ার চার্জ ওয়ালা। যেমন কি দেখো, cuprous is Cu+, cupric is Cu+2, the Us is +1, Ic is +2. You see here, mercurous is +1, mercuric is +2, ferrous is +2, and ferric is +3. যেগুলো পিছে IC লাগানো এগুলো হলো কি হাইয়ার চার্জের কম্পাউন্ড। Plumbous is Pb+2 and plumbic is your Pb+4. So these are the charges of different cations that you need to remember. You again take a screenshot of this, so you please write it down in your notebook. Okay? I guess you have taken? Fine. So এগুলো ভালো করে কপির মধ্যে লিখে নেবে. You just note it down perfectly in your notebook and just try to remember the charges of these elements. Fine. যে কার কিরকম নাম হয় এগুলো মনে রাখবে। Plus যখনই ওদের মধ্যে charges থাকবে, whenever there will be charges on them, they will be written in the form of ions like hydrogen ion, sodium ion. You need to remember that they are all positive ions, so they are all cations. এগুলো হলো কি সব কি cations, আমরা এগুলো মনে রাখতে হবে। Fine. Next we'll move to anions. আমরা এখন anions দেখব কিছু। So next we will see some anions. আমরা কিছু anions দেখবো। Just like the way cations are the positively charged species, the anions are our negatively charged species. যেগুলো negatively charged species থাকে এগুলোকে আমরা anions বলি। Okay, now anions, how are anions formed? Anions কিভাবে form হয়? You just see here. Anions are formed when a electron comes and enters into the atom. যখন একটা ইলেকট্রন এসে enter করে, যখন ঢুকে, in that case we get an anion. Just like the way you see Cl, ক্লোরিন আমি নিলাম, ক্লোরিনের সাথে যদি একটা ইলেকট্রন যদি এসে ঢুকে যায়, প্লাস ইলেকট্রন যদি হয়ে যায়, in that case you will write what? You will write here as Cl-। যদি দুটো ইলেকট্রন ঢুকতো, you would have written here -2, তিনটা ঢুকলে আমরা -3 লিখবো। সবসময় মনে রাখবে, আবার আমি বলবো প্রোটন এসে ঢুকবে না, প্রোটন এসে বেরোবে না, জাস্ট আমার কি হতে পারে, প্রোটন ইলেকট্রনস বেরোতে পারে বা ইলেকট্রনস এসে ঢুকতে পারে। ওকে, an electron can go out of the atom, electron can come inside the atom, but a proton cannot go or come out of the atom. Okay, so that is why whenever an electron is coming inside the nucleus, inside the atom, যখন একটা ইলেকট্রন এসে অ্যাটমের ভিতরে ঢুকবে, তখন কি যে একটা এক্সট্রা ইলেকট্রন, একটা এক্সট্রা নেগেটিভ চার্জ এসে যাবে, that is why we will put here a minus sign here. ঠিক আছে, জাস্ট ক্যাটায়নের মতোই। ঠিক আছে, এখন you see I have written some names of some of the anions. We will see the names. The first one is a fluoride. Fluoride is F-, chloride Cl-, bromide it's Br-, iodide I-, hydride H-, hydrogen is an element which exists in the form of a cation as well as an ion. It's an anomalous element, right? এটার মধ্যে একটা প্রবলেম আছে, মানে এটা অনেক রকম ভাবে বিহেভ করতে পারে। সো হাইড্রোজেনের যেরকম প্লাস ফর্ম হয়, হাইড্রোজেনের কিন্তু প্লাস H প্লাস দেখেছো, সেম হাইড্রাইড যদি লেখা থাকে দেন ইটস an anion. Hydroxide, it's OH minus. Bicarbonate, it's HCO3 minus. Bicarbonate is HCO3 minus. Nitrate, NO3 minus. Acetate, CH3COO minus. Sulfide, it's S2 minus. Oxide, it's O2 minus. Carbonate, it's CO3 2 minus. You see, bicarbonate is HCO3 minus and carbonate is CO3 2 minus. The oxygen is not, the hydrogen is not present here. Sorry. Sulfide is SO3 2 minus. Sulfate is SO4 2 minus. Phosphide is P3 minus. Nitride is N3 minus. Phosphate is PO4 2 minus and phosphite is PO3 3 minus. So these are the names of some of the anions. এগুলো হলো কিছু anions আর ওদের charges are written here. Again I will tell you, please take a screenshot. I'll just move out from the board, in front of the board, and you just take a screenshot of this. Okay, you need to remember this. এটাকে মনে রাখতে হবে, note it down in your notebook properly. Fine. Okay, next we will end this part of the video here. In the next video we'll see about how to balance a chemical equation and how do we write the formula of a compound. Okay, so please stay tuned, don't move anywhere away. We'll just be here only with the second video. Fine.